I think leadership is about trust and confidence, but I think it goes both ways. I also think it's about communication. I think the leadership teams have to have that, but I also think the employees have to have that too. So I don't think business is just about the leadership teams. I think you've got to have great teams right across the board. You've got to have a vision, and it's got to be communicated across all the teams. They've got to understand it, and they've got to be part of it. And I think the pandemic, you know, we used to write strategies. We've got a 10-year strategy, we've got a 5-year strategy, and we actually every year we'd rewrite them. And I think the problem with strategies sometimes is you write them and they go in the drawer, and at the end of the year you get them out and you see what you've actually done with them. Or that's how it appears to the teams. So we created what was called our Big Bang, and that was something, it's a bit like a filter, and anything that actually needed to be done or changed, and we had to do that because of the pandemic was changing so quickly. You know, we had Brexit, then we had pandemic, now we've got the economic crisis with actually things going up all the time. So if it actually fitted our business or needs for the families and the children, then we can actually change fairly quickly or decide not to do it. And I think a lot of businesses are actually moving to these sorts of graphic strategies where the businesses and the individuals can actually see them and they can make an effect on them. So if the ideas come from anywhere in the business, they can fit into the strategy. So I think you've got to be really fluid, really quick at change, and you've got to be able to see your figures very, very quickly. And that sounds really simple, but why shouldn't it be simple? Why shouldn't you be able to see and make change quickly and be on the mark, on the numbers? And that's how you had to be. Now, we were like that before, but we're even more efficient now than we ever were before. And we like to see innovation. It's got to be innovative. And those ideas can come from, and my business is all about children and families. You've got to use the stakeholder engagement. And if something is needed, it's got to be done quickly. So we created 4 or 5 different services throughout the pandemic because it was needed by the family. So if I'm in a corporate business, then you've got to do that too. You've got to be able to be relevant to your customers, to your suppliers. The suppliers got switched off in the pandemic. So we had to change to those that had the manufacturing because we're creating services. Wheelchairs, our Get Sensory Pack was brand new. We had to find out who was still manufacturing. We had to get different pieces of kit from different places. And we had to make sure that they had enough of it because we had to keep supplying it to the kids and families because they were actually at home. And it was the same, I'm assuming, for very many corporates. And it's the same going forwards, you know, because things are still in difficult times. But you had to stay positive. Without positivity, you couldn't continue. We could have mothballed. I could have just shut the doors and gone, what does it matter? But that wouldn't have been right because our articles say we are here to change children and families' lives. Now, could I say that the whole of my team agreed with that? No, 100%. Not all my team agreed with that decision. But that was the right thing to do, and I had to stay strong in that decision. And it was tough. It was really tough to do. But I also had to understand that they had people, families that were frightened. They had concerns. They had illness themselves. I had a daughter that was in hospital with a really difficult condition who I couldn't get to, and my husband was in hospital who I had to deal with on Facebook, on FaceTime. You know, we all had very difficult things to cope with. And we'll have very difficult things to cope with going forwards. So I had to understand that members of my team also had challenges. And that takes a good leader and a good leadership team. So, but I also had some phenomenal team members around me that saw us through. And they'll see me through and see the team through and see the charity through for the next 10, 20 years. And hopefully, even when I'm gone.